or sponsors.
Good evening, everyone. Hello out there.
Welcome to the weekend. I'm Gerald.
And I'm Lori.
And we are the Healthy Credit Gals. Our goal is to educate you on credit and financial matters. Join us on this journey to increase your awareness of credit and health and how they impact your life.
If you've ever experienced financial stress, and most of us have at some point, then you know how unsettling it can be. There are many ways to actively take control of the situation, restore your credit score, and rebuild your purchasing power.
If you have a question and want to join the show, call in at 888-565-1470 and let us guide you in creating financial fitness and peace of mind.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Healthy Credit Gals. And I just want to say it's been an awesome week trying to get back to normal. I hope everybody out there is getting back to their normal. It's 2 weeks, I think, after the storm, but really it put such a disorganization into everybody's routine. I think it's been a really interesting time. I know for myself, I'm Lori Lee Crabtree with the Healthy Credit Gals, and getting back to normal this week for me was going out visiting some of my accounts. I noticed in several industries there's been such an upset that tonight's focus is going to be on a specific industry, which is our realtors are in the house, and I'll introduce them in a few minutes. But really it's about the housing market, whether you're in the process of purchasing or even renting, how this storm has affected that industry. I was in one of the car dealerships that I have a business partnership with first of all, right after the storm, and everything was shut down with the power being down and all the cars being moved. It's really a process for their industry to get back to normal. First, they have to have the power, and then they have to have all of the cars moved back onto the lot so that they can function in a normal way. So it was interesting for me just seeing how that industry, the 2 weeks of being shut down, really hit them hard. Now they're trying to get back to marketing and getting people back out into their lots so that they can, get back to selling. That's what they do. That's what their industry is all about. So tonight's focus is, again, going to be on the housing industry. I want to just first open up by saying we're obviously thinking about the people that got hit much harder than us. Puerto Rico in particular, it's just been devastating for them. And, they're not far from our thoughts every moment. At least for me, it's being grateful that we didn't have that kind of a hit. So you can find us if you're listening on 95.3 FM and also on AM 1470, as well as live on our Facebook page, The Healthy Credit Gals. So tune in, and if you have a question as we go along, please reach out, grab your phone, give us a call, 888-565-1470. And you can also catch our prior episodes online. It's on YouTube on AMP2 TV Productions under our channel, which is the Healthy Credit Gals. So I want to go ahead and welcome our two realtors that are local here in Boca Raton. And I'm looking forward to having a great conversation with both of you ladies as to what's happening in the market. First, I have Lori Garland, and she is with Signature. Wait, where did I put it? Where are you, Lori? Where are you at? Help me out here.
I work for a fantastic brokerage, Signature Paradise Realty International.
Perfect.
LLC.
Yes,
in
yes.
Boca
Long
Raton.
name. That's why I couldn't get it right.
It's on Federal Highway just before you cross over the canal to get into Delray Beach.
Yes.
So prior to that, I was in banking for a long time. So I have experience as a lender too, which makes the industry really interesting for me. I really enjoy it.
Great. And Miss Barbara Kasser, can you go ahead and let me know? I know it's Ocean Rock Realty, where you guys are located at.
Our office is at 2300 Glades Road. We are a small boutique firm. We handle sales, we handle rentals. We are very customer focused. We don't want to sell or rent the wrong home or property, and we go out of our way to make sure that our customers get the right result.
So that's perfect, because you don't want to end up being in a place, whether you're renting or buying, in a place that you're just not happy. You want your place that you purchased to really be a home for you. So it's great to know that that's your focus. Whether you are renting and it's temporary, you still want to be comfortable in the place that you're at. So I want to just really focus on what both of your background is. I know, Lori, you had mentioned you've been in so many industries that are supportive of the real estate industry. So that knowledge, obviously, 20 years of knowledge,
Right.
being in banking and other supportive industries, how does that make you different and in what you do? And what's your focus? I know I know it's residential.
Yes, yes. I do residential. I work with buyers and sellers. It's been a wonderful journey for me. The fact that I have banking experience has been very advantageous, I think, to all of my clients for a number of reasons. One, because when you are a seller and you have a contract that's coming in, there's certain terms specified in that contract for the potential buyer that you have. So you need to know the difference between a VA mortgage, an FHA mortgage, a conventional mortgage, what all those things mean, where there could possibly be issues along the way. Not that you always know everything. Sometimes there's those things that pop up. And also when working with buyers, it has been really nice to have knowledge of how those mortgages work, what they function, how they function behind the scenes. And there's also certain programs that are available for first-time home buyers. Because I've been in banking, I know a little bit more about those. The contract training, obviously, because when you handle lending like I did, you're signing legal documents all the time. So you sort of know your way around those too. So that experience has been real beneficial for me, and hopefully as much so for my clients.
Absolutely. I think the more knowledge you have, the better you can serve. So here comes the big question. How does credit affect what you do on a daily basis for your clients, as well as does it limit you in what you would show them, or how do you match a client based on what credit they have? Or do you? Or do you
Right.
wait until they get pre-qualified? All of that, I just want to kind of understand the process that you go through.
Right, right. Well, when you're looking to buy a home, I always suggest that my buyers speak with a mortgage professional if they're going to need a loan to purchase their home. And there are a lot of different reasons for that, because everybody's situation and circumstances are so much different. Nobody is like a cookie cutter. So you can't always say, well, if you're looking at your income, then you need to make sure that you're only spending 28% of your income on this or 50% of your income. And so much of it depends on your circumstances and what type of loan that you're going to do. And as far as credit is concerned, your credit score is so important, because certain programs have credit minimums, and you can't be considered for some of the better rates and the better programs if you have a lower credit score. So those things are really important. And a lot of times people really don't understand what their credit score is, what
Yes.
makes it up, how to fix it if it's a little, if it's got some deficits along the way. So it's really, really important for people to keep up with that. Not only that, to make sure that it's accurate, that people are not doing things without your knowledge, like the recent Equifax issue where people had access to information that could lead to identity theft. So those things
Yes.
are really important.
I will say in my industry with credit, it really affects everybody across the board. It doesn't matter financially where you are. I've had clients that are doctors and attorneys. I've had other clients that are looking to buy their first home that have not been homeowners before. And it really doesn't matter. I mean, I think everybody has really had some type of experience, whether it's positive or negative, with credit, but really blips on your credit happens to everybody. So one of the goals of why we started this radio program is to try to open up that conversation and make sure that people understand it's not a bad thing it's something that's so common and it's normal. It's not something to be ashamed of. So the more that you learn, if you just learn a few little things about credit, it's going to help you maneuver and get you into the house or into the rental house or apartment that you're looking for. Or it can prevent you. It can work for you or against you. So I just want to point that out, that it really is a conversation that we're trying to empower people to take control of your credit, because it really does control so much of your life, and especially what we're talking about today. So I want to now kind of get your perspective, Barbara. Barbara is focused on rentals, even though she does sales as well. So as far as a renter goes, how does credit affect what their options are, I would say, and how do you work differently with people of different scores? Do you have a minimum even for renting that you look for, or how does that work with you?
Lori, credit is king in the rental market.
Okay.
One of the first things that we do, whether you are renting an apartment or you're renting a home on the beach or you're renting a single family home, is to qualify. And that's asking about income and asking about what is your credit score. And there's a couple reasons for this. One, your credit score is going to determine for so many landlords what your ability is when they look at your credit score, what your ability is to pay the rent.
Right.
And if you've got a low credit score, you might be disqualified. Now, maybe that's fair and maybe that's unfair, but that's the way the market works.
That's kind of how the whole industry, and not even just your industry, but so many things that do put a requirement on having a specific credit score, it does limit people. And credit is not fair always. It's not, it's not about being fair. It's just how we run this country. You can't really get by unless you're paying cash for everything, and then you're not building credit. So that's kind of been the outlet for people that have had bad credit. So what I want to do is just take a quick break, and we want to come back and talk more about how this Hurricane Irma, that had such an impact, even though we were only shut down really for 2 weeks across the board with, power and industries that have been affected, how it specifically affected your industry. So stay with us and we'll be right back.
Did you know that having less than perfect credit can cost you upwards of $1 million in interest rates, fees, and other unnecessary charges over your lifetime? And did you know 80% of credit reports have errors causing lower credit scores? And did you know 43 million people have a credit score of 599 or less?
Less than perfect credit leaves you with little or no control. The Healthy Credit Gals can help. We are the Healthy Credit Gals. Let us show you how to create financial fitness and peace of mind. Tune in and let's talk credit on 1470 AM and 95.3 FM.
Celebrity Mortgage Corporation, where everyone is treated like a star. The process of obtaining a mortgage to purchase or refinance residential property doesn't have to be overwhelming. I'm Tanya Quarequio, the owner of Celebrity Mortgage and a licensed loan officer. Celebrity Mortgage has helped thousands of clients in Florida realize their dream of homeownership, and we can help you too. We know every family and individual is unique in their needs and requirements. As a mortgage brokerage business, we have access to hundreds of loan programs and thousands of lenders. We will help find the right program that works for you. Tanya Quarequio, NMLS 88836, Celebrity Mortgage, NMLS 206978, where everyone is treated like a star.
You've been listening to the Healthy Credit Gals inform you of how important good credit is and the stressful impact bad credit can have on your overall well-being. Visit our website at thehealthycreditgals.com and learn what options you have. Now, let's get back to the show.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. We are talking about the industry of purchasing and also renting a home. I obviously noticed just from being out in the streets how different industries have been affected. Obviously, there's some industries that are just going crazy right now, roofers with leaks, and there's a lot of cleanup crews. I don't know. Just today, we finally had the trees on our property picked up. But I've noticed driving around the city, there's trees down everywhere. We did get hit with a lot of tornadoes. So even though it's not the type of devastation that, we would cringe if we were in the situation of one of the islands that no power, and especially Puerto Rico, 4 to 6 months with no power. How would we're so spoiled. How would we handle that? I think we're so spoiled that 6 days without power was really, really dramatic for me. I was ready to get back to having power and all the just wonderful benefits that come with having power. So, Lori, I want to ask you, if people have been in the process before Irma came along, in the process of purchasing, and now there's damage, whether it's significant or even minor damage, how does that affect the transaction that you were in the process of in your closing, and what do people have to do differently now?
Right. That's a great question, Lori. The standard Florida contract has a clause in it called force majeure. And what force majeure...
Can you spell that? Because I don't even know what that is.
It's force, F-O-R-C-E, and
Okay.
then majeure is M-A-J-U-R-E, I believe. I'm going to Barbara to help
It's
me
not a
with my
spelling test, but I just wanted
think
people to
that's
be
right.
familiar with what you're saying.
M-A-J-U-R-E.
M-A-J-U-R-E, okay.
M-A-J-U-R-E.
Okay.
And basically what force majeure does is it comes into play when you have a hurricane, when you have a fire, extreme weather conditions, earthquakes, even wars and terrorist activity
Wow.
fall underneath force majeure. And it's really there to protect both the buyer and the seller. If you are in the process of buying a property and there is damage because of something that happens during that period of time, the seller is responsible for fixing it back to its original condition. And if that doesn't happen, then the buyer has the option not to buy the property. So those are large things. Typically, when you're talking about things like trees being down and that sort of thing, there are some numerical formulas that you follow, and if the cleanup can't be completed by the time the closing is able to take place, then there's funds that are held in escrow from the sale of the property to be able to finish paying off whatever needs to be done as far as the leaves and trees are concerned. But the force majeure also takes into account delayed closings, which have happened. I actually had a property under contract when the storm hit. And so you are entitled to do reinspection of the property, and the closing can be delayed up to 7 days past the effects of the hurricane. So you have title companies and real estate attorneys that are handling closings. If there's no electricity in their office, their computers are not working, they can't print legal documents, they can't calculate fees and different things like that. So you have to wait to close until all that calms down. So real estate really has been dead for, I would say, about 2 weeks, Barbara. Don't you think it's...
In the sales market, yes. The rental market, not so much.
Okay, and we'll get to that in just a minute. Yeah. So I guess this thing that sounds like a dinner, it sounds like a fancy dinner to me.
Yes, it does.
Force majeure. Something that I would order in a French restaurant.
On a menu.
That's what I'm thinking.
I'll have one of those.
I'll have a force majeure, please. How does that get initiated, and is it automatic or?
It's automatic. It's in the contract.
So it's in the Florida contract.
Yes.
No matter what.
Florida has standard real estate contracts, not that you're forced to use them, but most realtors do use them for the purchase and sale of property, and that is a clause within the contract itself.
Okay, so most realtors would be aware of that, correct?
Yes.
So if you were in the process and you still haven't closed, it might be something that is a question that you ask your realtor that you're working with.
Yes.
that's initiated whether it's on a buyer side or a seller side, or is
Right,
it initiated
right,
typically one
right.
side?
Well, normally the buyer has to come back in and re-inspect the property. So obviously you run into issues. Say your buyer is out of state. In South Florida, we have a lot of buyers from New York. So if your buyer's in New York, you have to figure out how to coordinate all that, whether you're going to have the same inspector that did the inspection to start with to come back in, or what you're going to do exactly. And it depends on the type of property, too. If the roof is covered by the HOA, then it's a different situation altogether, or depending on what the property is. So,
What about the option for if the buyer just wants to now get out? Is it a way out too, or not really?
no, not really.
Okay.
I wouldn't say so, because typically no.
Okay, so
You're
that's
still stuck in that
right.
contract.
Well, that's good to know, because maybe they've had a moment
Right,
where
right.
now they're afraid to move to
Buyer's
the
remorse.
state of Florida.
And I think probably that does happen, but I think those of us that live in South Florida are pretty acutely aware of the fact that we have storms,
right.
and that if we're going to live here, we're probably going to be affected by those at some point in time. And I do have to say, I've been down here within weeks of 10 years when Irma hit, and that was my first storm.
Wow.
So I guess I got lucky, but it was supposed to be a really bad one, so I was
Yes,
happy.
we are very grateful that we
very.
didn't
Yes.
take a direct hit.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
honestly, just thinking about the people that did take a direct hit, it can be a whole different situation for them in real estate and other industries, in just other parts of Florida even. I mean, look at the Keys. There's so much devastation. So
Right.
we're talking specifically about our area in general, which is Boca Raton, South Florida, Palm Beach County, Broward County, even Dade County. We're all kind of experiencing the same thing. It is a little bit different up north, even up in Jacksonville, St. Augustine area. I know they were hit pretty hard with flooding. So the situation may be different from what we're talking about, because this program is all of, kind of from Jensen Beach all the way down to Miami. So I just want to say it might not be the same in your area specifically, and it depends on each property that you're talking about, because even in our area there's severe damage in some areas, whereas maybe a mile away it might be completely different. So what we're speaking about, if you have a question, any question at all that we can help you answer, give us a call at the station. The number is 888-565-1470. And now let me just pose that same question to you, Barbara. How does anybody that's been looking or maybe is signed a contract for a rental but hasn't moved yet? A lot of people, I don't know if you have people from out of the country or out of the state as well that are maybe buying or looking to rent a property unseen. Maybe they might have a different thought process now that we've had this storm. Does that change them or give them a clause to, get out of a contract too, or not really?
Well, everyone is governed by a lease. And once you sign the lease, that's your contract.
Okay.
So it depends on what is in the lease. And
Is there anything in a lease typically for mitigating circumstances, specifically with natural disasters, or not really on the rental?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really.
So it would have to be negotiated if somebody
have to
decide,
be-
oh my gosh, that was such a close hit. I don't think I want to live in Florida.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I did talk to one person who said that he had signed a lease and now was reconsidering because he didn't think he wanted to live here anymore.
Okay.
And once you sign that lease, you have signed a contract
Right.
and you just can't walk away.
Well, we have a caller calling in. Mary. Mary, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Mary. Welcome to the show. What kind of question do you have for us?
Well, I have a question about whether or not I should buy a new place or stay in the place, my condo that I bought a few years ago. I'm 53 years old. I owe about $70,000 on it. But because it's an older condo, and I love it, but because it's an older condo, I've had so many different assessments and I'm fearful that the assessments will continue. So I'm debating whether or not, I don't know. I bought when the market was low, so I got a pretty good deal. But I'm wondering now if I should buy something newer and incur more debt at my age, or stick with where I am. I'm just kind of confused. Or wait till I'm 55 and do a 55 plus.
Ladies, do you have a comment for Mary?
My first thought, Mary, is can you run for the board? Is that a possibility? So maybe you can help control some of the assessments that you're getting or vote against them. It's true that sometimes older condos do need to be fixed up, and you do get assessments. And when those assessments happen, they're also part of the sales contract because you have to make sure that the buyer is aware of the assessments that are coming. So I don't know, did you, and I apologize, Did you say that you did have some equity in this property or no?
I do. I guess it would be about $100,000 or so. I put work into it. It's not worth much, but it's a nice condo. I paid about $130 for it. I could probably get $250 for it now.
Okay. Well, you're
never-ending assessments, and I'm single, and I've taken a decrease in my salary over the past few years after the economy tanked, and not making the salary I used to make. So I'm just wondering, what's the best thing for me to do? Should I get a smaller place, a newer, get a larger loan now, get a new mortgage, or should I just stick it out and hope for the best? And I know it's kind of related, not completely related to what you were talking about, but I'm curious what you think with the market today. I know prices are continuing to increase, and I feel like if I wait any longer, I'll be priced out of the market.
Right. Have you looked around any at all? I think my suggestion for you would be to look and see what's out there and what's available and what you might like to move into. And then just take it from there if you decide that you don't want a position on the board.
Yeah.
The 55 plus communities typically are in good locations, most of them, and most of the prices are pretty good. But you're right, the overall prices in Florida increased a little over 9% from last year. And the only other state, the only other state that increased more than us, I think, was Colorado, and they were a little over 10. So I'm assuming there's other circumstances that are causing people to move to Colorado.
Yes, I think we can probably read between the lines on that one.
Right.
Well, Mary, if you want to reach out to us and reach Lori for more information, Lori, could you give your phone number?
Oh, yes, definitely. My phone number is 561-926-2574.
2574.
Yes, ma'am.
And
great.
Mary,
so much.
you might consider renting your property. And if you want to rent, I would like to give you Barbara's information as well. Barbara, can you give your phone number out?
Absolutely. 561-350-0126.
So we'd be happy to hear more from you and help you out more, Mary. Thank you for calling in, and I hope you have a great night.
Thank you. You too. Thanks,
Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Bye.
And on that note, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back in a few minutes. Stay with us. Did you know most people have no idea how their credit score works and no idea what their credit score is? Most people think just paying bills on time will ensure the best score possible. The reality is, 5 factors determine your credit rating: types of credit, length of credit, amount owed, inquiries, and payment history.
Did you know an employer can use your credit scores and history to determine whether they want to hire you? Your credit scores determine the premiums you pay for insurance on your car and homeowner's insurance, as well as other premiums. Your credit score also determines the interest rates for your mortgage and car loans. Even your utilities and cell phone is based on your credit score. Crazy, right? Low credit scores is like flushing money down the drain.
We can put money back in your pocket. Tune in and let's talk credit. We are the Healthy Credit Gals. Let us show you how to create financial fitness and peace of mind.
Celebrity Mortgage Corporation, where everyone is treated like a star. The process of obtaining a mortgage to purchase or refinance residential property doesn't have to be overwhelming. I'm Tanya Quarequio, the owner of Celebrity Mortgage and a licensed loan officer. Celebrity Mortgage has helped thousands of clients in Florida realize their dream of homeownership, and we can help you too. We know every family and individual is unique in their needs and requirements. As a mortgage brokerage business, we have access to hundreds of loan programs and thousands of lenders. We will help find the right program that works for you. Tanya Quarequio, NMLS 88836, Celebrity Mortgage, NMLS 206978, where everyone is treated like a star.
You've been listening to the Healthy Credit Gals inform you of how important good credit is and the stressful impact bad credit can have on your overall well-being. Visit our website at thehealthycreditgals.com and learn what options you have. Now, let's get back to the show.
Welcome back, everybody. So we've been talking about the housing industry. One thing I do want to mention before we get back into that is we always talk about a credit myth versus a credit truth. So I have one for you for tonight. The myth or credit is if you get a derogatory item removed from your credit report, it will just come back. Is that a truth or is that a myth? So we're going to come back with the answer in just a little bit. But let's continue on talking about the housing industry. And again, I would say, Barbara, what about credit, how it affects your income, how it affects those combined, how it affects what you can rent, or what are all the requirements for finding a rental? And have you found that there's a difference in what people want just in this last 2 weeks?
There is definitely a difference in what people want, especially in the last 2 weeks. I'm sensing almost a feeling of desperation right now. People want the most amount of house for, it's almost like they don't care what they spend.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
It's give me the best house I can have, and I don't care what it costs. But you do need to care what it costs because, one, you might not be able to afford it, and two, the landlord's probably not going to give you that lease if you can't afford it. So I do understand people's desperation, though, especially if you lived in a place that was destroyed or you're moving from a place where there's been a lot of devastation around you and you want someplace that's really pretty and beautiful. But a lot of people are moving now because they want to move up north into a place that they feel that they perceive as safer. But again, credit is king. And we have to keep going back to that statement.
And what about the income? Like, do you find that people are knowledgeable about, are they realistic when they pick a place, or do they get emotionally attached to a place with a rental, wanting to rent at a certain place before they actually figure out their income to debt ratio plays a part, their credit plays a part, what else plays a part, that kind of thing?
It's more of an emotional decision. You walk into a beautiful apartment. Let's take an apartment for an example. And it's got wonderful amenities. And it might be brand new. And you say, wow, I'd like to live here. And the rent may be half of your income. And you say, I can afford this, no problem. But when you stop to think about it, you've got groceries, you've got car insurance, you've got car payments, you may have a cable bill, you want to eat out once in a while. So when you put your budget together, can you really afford this? And no, the answer is no.
So does somebody, when you're purchasing, there's a mortgage lender that is going to dictate yes, you can afford this, or no, you can't. How is that? How does that work and compare with renting? And how do people decide if they should really rent versus buy?
Well, Lori and I were talking about this earlier, and we talked about it a little bit at the break. Rent versus buy is a complicated decision if you're really on the fence. If your credit is bad and you can't, or you don't have a down payment, then rent is the way to go. If you're just moving to, say, Boca Raton, and you don't know the area, then we think that rent would probably be a great idea, even if just for a year, so you get familiar with the area, because you could move to the greatest neighborhood and then find out, wait, this may not be what I thought it was, and then you either move on or you say, this is great, and now I want to buy here. So in that case, rent is again great. Buy, well, why would you say buy would be?
Well, when you buy a home, it's yours. And every time you make a payment, you're making an investment in that roof that's over your head. You also have, hopefully, the upside potential. It's not guaranteed, though, that every time you buy a home, it's going to go up and up and up and up exponentially like
This
it
is
did
true, right?
during the really hot time in the real estate market.
Yes,
but
yes.
it is definitely a roof over your head. You can personalize it. If you want to paint your walls chartreuse green, you can paint your interior walls chartreuse green. So you can kind of make it your own. Again, the other upside is that you also have the property tax and the mortgage interest deductions on your income taxes as well, at least for right now. So that's also a positive. One of the other things, though, if you are not really good about saving money and keeping some credit just for emergencies, when you own a home, you wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning and you're sweating, and it's like, why isn't it cool? And you go punch the air conditioning and it's not working. So
This is true.
you have to pay.
If you rent, you pick up your cell phone and you say, Mr. Landlord, or you put in a work order, and the next day you've got a new air conditioner. So
I guess it's really a personal choice. What fits your lifestyle better? Are you responsible enough to really be an owner and take on, those unexpected things that come up? The plumbing, needs addressing. You have a leaky faucet, or something big like your roof. A lot of people have roof damage and leaks just from the hurricane. So,
Right.
and we didn't even get a full-on hit. So, I guess really, if you're considering, take into consideration what your personality is, and are you a saver? Are you a planner to purchase? Or do you like having the freedom and the flexibility of just paying out some money and having no responsibilities
None.
tied to it? So, so just some food for thought for purchasing, whether you're purchasing or renting, and if you're moving, what decision you would make. I want to get back to our myth or credit myth or truth. If you get a derogatory item removed, does it just come back? I've had a lot of clients call me and say they have paid a lot of money to have their credit fixed, and items just came right back. So the answer is it's false. It should not come right back, because the law that protects us as consumers of credit, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, dictates that if you are having items removed from your credit and it's done legally, that's the key. If it's done legally and properly, it cannot come back. Where people get a little confused is if you have a negative item and you don't pay it, say it goes to collections, maybe a third party ends up purchasing that bad debt from a company. Now that collection company can come back to you, make a phone call, and if you verify that it's your debt, now you're responsible for it again. So that is where a lot of the confusion happens. If something has been charged off and you're not responsible for it anymore, that company has automatically taken that as a tax break and written you off as a client. So once you're done with it, you're done with it. But if you verify that debt again, somebody, is trying to get you to verify that it's your debt. If you do that, you are taking on the responsibility of that debt again. So just how these collectors work, and they do anything to try to collect money on something that's already been written off. Just a little word of advice: never, never, never verify that it's a debt of yours. If it's been resolved, let it be, and keep your good credit. So making payments on time definitely helps you raise your credit score, but if it's something that's already been written off and it's dead in the water, let it be. And that way you can keep your good credit, and you'll be able to rent or purchase whatever your desires are. What I want to ask, what is the minimum that you deal with for renting? Because I know I've talked a lot about it with purchasing. There's a lot of different variations with different options for different mortgages based on whatever your lowest credit score is, whatever the credit score is. But is there a minimum that you look for in renting, Barbara?
Most landlords are looking for a minimum in the 600s, and that's the very minimum. And if you have a minimum in the 600s, some landlords are going to charge you a higher security deposit or even an extra month's rent.
Okay, so it's similar to utilities, where if you have a lower credit score, you're going to pay a lot more in a deposit. So is this something that's non-refundable typically in a rental, or is it something that's refundable at the end? Is it a deposit, or is it actually additional income that they have to pay?
It's going to depend on that particular situation and on that particular landlord.
Okay. And we're talking mainly about properties that are owned by their personal properties rather than apartments, or is it the same in apartment complexes where it's a corporate office that you're dealing with?
I'd say it's more in a corporate situation or company situation. Private owners have their own way of doing business. Sometimes they're tougher, and sometimes they're a little bit more lax.
Okay. So it's the luck of the draw.
But the disadvantage of, to me anyway, being on the realtor side of renting from a private owner, the deal can be a wonderful deal, but get a real estate attorney. Scrutinize that lease really carefully. Make sure that it is, every T is crossed and every I is dotted.
Who's responsible for anything?
Absolutely.
So that brings me just to another question that popped into my head. If somebody's a renter and now they've had damage with the hurricane, is it clarified typically in a lease who's responsible for fixing things?
Most landlords, if the lease specifies it so, will fix their property. However, most landlords now require tenants to carry renter's insurance. And that renter's insurance covers personal liability and also personal property. So if the roof leaks, the landlord is responsible. If the roof leaks and damages your couch, your renter's insurance covers the couch.
Okay. So that's important to realize as somebody is going in to rent. If you're renting from, and again, I don't know how this works with properties that are owned by a property management company or are, corporations versus a personal owner. Is it the same with both of them as far as how the leases work?
Lori, even if you rent from a private owner and your private owner doesn't require you to have renter's insurance, it's inexpensive. I would advise everybody to get it. It's probably under $200 a year.
So this is a really good tip, especially we've just gone through a storm. Sometimes people may have evacuated and left a window open, or maybe a window was broken, and that rain can damage your personal property. Now you're out for that, right? You're out if you don't have some type of insurance, a renter's insurance that will compensate you for it, correct?
Right. And check on your renter's insurance that there's hurricane damage included.
Hurricane. So yes, hurricane, is it wind? Is it flood? Is it, do you have to do, like with owners, you have to have a specific flood insurance if you're in a certain zone.
And it's so easy to get renter's insurance. You can get it from the same company that most of the time that insures your car, or you can get it from many private agents. I know with the tenants that I work with, I have a couple insurance agents that I've worked with for many years, and I can refer people. So I just say, get it.
That's good. That's a very good tip. Right. So you want to make sure that if you are a renter, that you have renter's insurance so that you're covered going forward. If we have any more storms, that you have just an opportunity to have your things covered so that you're not out if there is any damage, whether it's from rain or any kind of damage, right?
Yeah. There is also an interesting thing when you're purchasing a home, if you have not closed, and it depends on the carrier, but during the period of time when you have a named or a numbered storm and you're within 150 miles of the cone, typically carriers will not write you insurance. You're not going to get insurance until a sufficient time has passed after the storm, and it's going to depend on the carrier. But a conversation that I had the other day with my homeowner's insurance person, she told me that there were carriers that still had not come back into the state of Florida. So that could be another crunch we could be facing again.
So is there a specific time frame after a storm or before a storm that they will not write, or?
I had asked her, like, for example, with Irma. Irma hit us, Saturday night, Sunday, that time frame. She said with Irma, they stopped writing insurance in, in our area on Monday. So there was
the
no
Monday
more.
before,
The Monday
so
prior.
6 days almost.
Yes.
Yeah,
And so
5
then
days.
there's several days after that before they'll start. And she said typically you would get your agent would get some sort of a web or email notification when they'll start accepting policies and that sort of thing. But when you're trying to close, if you have a mortgage, that insurance has to be in place before you can close.
So that can delay your closing
there again,
too.
you
so
have
again,
some other
just
delays.
another tip, make sure you have everything in place prior to closing. But honestly, even if you're an owner, make sure you have it in place way before a storm comes about.
Yes.
So
The renewal situation, and just briefly, if you are renewing your policy, they will take your renewal, but you have to pay. You have to
get that
give them
transaction.
your premium.
Right.
Yes, or they won't take it.
Okay, good to
So,
know.
absolutely.
So we're going to take another break here real quick, and we'll be right back to wrap things up.
Did you know that having less than perfect credit can cost you upwards of $1 million in interest rates, fees, and other unnecessary charges over your lifetime? And did you know 80% of credit reports have errors causing lower credit scores? And did you know 43 million people have a credit score of 599 or less?
Less than perfect credit leaves you with little or no control. The Healthy Credit Gals can help. We are the Healthy Credit Gals. Let us show you how to create financial fitness and peace of mind. Tune in and let's talk credit on 1470 AM and 95.3 FM.
Celebrity Mortgage Corporation, where everyone is treated like a star. The process of obtaining a mortgage to purchase or refinance residential property doesn't have to be overwhelming. I'm Tanya Quarequio, the owner of Celebrity Mortgage and a licensed loan officer. Celebrity Mortgage has helped thousands of clients in Florida realize their dream of homeownership, and we can help you too. We know every family and individual is unique in their needs and requirements. As a mortgage brokerage business, we have access to hundreds of loan programs and thousands of lenders. We will help find the right program that works for you. Tanya Quarequio, NMLS 88836, Celebrity Mortgage, NMLS 206978, where everyone is treated like a star.
You've been listening to the Healthy Credit Gals inform you of how important good credit is and the stressful impact bad credit can have on your overall well-being. Visit our website at thehealthycreditgals.com and learn what options you have. Now, let's get back to the show.
All right, everybody, welcome back again. We have been having so much fun just chatting about and learning about all of these different tips that these ladies have been kind enough to come on the show and share with us tonight. So I want to just say thank you again for coming on and want to throw it back to you guys, each of you, to share one other tip, maybe something that we didn't get to talk about that might come to mind that should be very important for people to take as a lesson from this storm. Anything come to mind specifically for either one of you? Or maybe just a tip in general for purchasing versus renting. Whatever comes to mind that you can share that will be something that people may wonder about, or just some knowledge.
Well, as far as buying a home is concerned, if you're going to get a mortgage, it is really, really important that you have a long discussion with your mortgage lender. And there's going to be a lot of paperwork. I'm just going to let you know that right now. And back in the day, a while back, you didn't have to provide paperwork, but there is a lot of paperwork that's involved now. There's new closing regulations as far as when you receive a closing statement and a 3-day waiting period that didn't used to be in existence. So just make sure that you really like your mortgage person, because you're going to be talking to them a lot and they're going to be asking you for a lot of paperwork. But it's so important to work with a good mortgage professional that can advise you as far as how much home you can afford and help put you into the right mortgage program, because there's so many out there. First-time home buyers, there's assistance for first-time home buyers, and you would think that would mean never having owned a home. Basically, it means you haven't owned property in the last 3 years. So,
Ooh,
really,
can you say that again? Because
yes.
that's interesting. I have not heard that before.
Yes. There are different bond programs that will assist first-time home buyers with some down payment money. And the different programs have different terms. You are considered to be a first-time home buyer if you have not owned property in the last 3 years. It's a 3-year time period.
So if you're an owner that's not buying a second property, that's actually just
Correct.
not owning anything,
Not owning anything.
for 3 years.
And if you're a married couple, it applies to both spouses, to the husband
Okay.
and to the wife.
Very
But
good
There's
tip.
there's some great money available out there. So get with a really good mortgage person so you can take advantage of all the things that are offered and available to you.
That's awesome. Awesome. I did not even know that myself. So thank you, Lori, for
You're
that.
welcome.
And where can people
Thank you.
reach you at again? Can you give your number?
Sure, absolutely. My cell phone number is 561-926-2574.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Barbara, what do you have? I know you always have an interesting tip to share. So
The interesting tip that I have to share is if you are serious about renting an apartment or a residential dwelling, be careful. There are so many scams out there. There are so many fake ads out there. Put yourself in the hands of someone who is dedicated to help you find a place where you would love to live and live to love.
I love that.
Yeah, it's great.
Love to live and live to love. I love that.
And you won't be taken for a ride. So
That's good because it can be very intimidating whether you're looking at places to rent or to buy, to go out by yourself, especially if you're a single female and you don't know who you're getting in a car with, right? So
Right.
make sure you have a great relationship. Make sure you know. And for me, whenever I'm going anywhere that I'm maybe a little bit hesitant about, I always let somebody know or bring somebody with you. You know, it's great to have somebody else's opinion, especially if you're trying to figure out where you want to live and you're not really sure. So grab a friend and take them along. Barbara, can you just give your number for us?
I would be happy to. My phone number is 561-350-0126, and I'd love to hear from you.
Great. And I just want to share one other tip for people. I got this email just today, and I wanted to share for people that have small businesses or even big businesses, and you've had some type of disaster, whether you've had damage or maybe just a lack of income for the 2 weeks. I got this email from Small Business Association. You can go to sba.gov, sba.gov. They are offering low interest disaster loans, and it's an incredible amount, $5 million that they're offering out there just to help people. So make sure you check it out, sba.gov. And thank you, ladies, for all of your wonderful information. It's been really fun having you on the show. You can find them by reaching out to us. 888-565-1470 is the number here, and they can give you our personal number, or you can find us on thehealthycreditgals.com. I hope everybody's recovering well. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
You've been listening to the Healthy Credit Gals with solutions on how to create financial fitness and peace of mind. Visit our website, thehealthycreditgals.com, or call us at 888-315-3182. See you next week. Same time, same place for more tips and info. Enjoy the weekend. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Now you can get Talk 1470 WNN on 95.3 FM too. Loud and clear, Health and Wealth Radio, WNN.
America's service members and veterans are strong, forged out of bravery, sacrifice, and duty. They are diverse, unique, from all corners of the country, and thanks to their common experience, a family for life. But whether they served in lands far away or communities close to home, some of these men and women may face difficult times or even crisis. But sometimes reaching out for help can be the most challenging and worthwhile mission of all for veterans, service members, Reserve, and National Guard. Thankfully, friends, family, and communities are standing by their service members and veterans now more than ever. We're all in this together. When you recognize something isn't right, make the call to the Veterans Crisis Line or Military Crisis Line. During times of crisis, reach out and call. Dial 1-800-273-8255 and press 1, or chat online at veteranscrisisline.net or text 838-255.
Talk 1470 is WWNN Pompano Beach and 95.3 FM W237BD Boca Raton, the Health and Wealth Radio Network.
Lupus. It's one of the cruelest, most mysterious diseases on Earth. Lupus strikes without warning, can ravage any part of the body, and has no known cause and no known cure. Its health effects range from a skin rash to a heart attack. Lupus is an unpredictable and misunderstood disease that's difficult to diagnose, hard to live with, and a challenge to treat. Help us solve the cruel mystery. We're the Lupus Foundation of America, the only national force devoted to solving the mystery of lupus. We lead the fight to improve the quality of life for all people affected by this devastating disease. To learn more about lupus and how we can help those who suffer from its brutal impact, visit us online at lupus.org or call the Lupus Foundation of America at 1-800-558-0121. That's 1-800-558-0121.
AM 1470 with more of what you need to know. Don't miss Travelers 411 with Stephanie Abrams each Sunday night from 5 to 7 p.m. on AM 1470 WNN.
Taking over-the-counter or prescription drugs unnecessarily is a drag, whereas feeling great like you used to is the way it ought to be. Learn how to feel, function, and perform to your full health potential. Tune in to the Dr. Bob Martin Show, Sunday morning at 10 on Talk 1470 WNN.
It only takes a minute to find out if you may have prediabetes, and you can do it at doihaveprediabetes.org. But you're probably not going to. Nope. I'm sure you've got a perfectly good excuse. Kids, work. I get it. You're busy. So what better time than now? Let's begin. Raise one finger if you're a man. Ladies, none yet. Oh, count in your head if you're driving. Now, 3 more fingers for everyone over 60, 2 over 50, 1 over 40, 1 more if you're not physically active, another finger if anyone in your family has type 2 diabetes, another if you've got high blood pressure. If you're overweight, raise another finger, 2 if you're very overweight, and 3 if you're really overweight. You've just taken the world's first audio prediabetes test. And if you're holding up 5 or more fingers, visit doihaveprediabetes.org or talk to your doctor. There's no excuse because prediabetes can be reversed.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Talk here. Talk there. Talk 1470 AM and 95.3 FM. The Health and Wealth Radio Network. WNN.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of the station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to the Golf and Travel Show, the place to fine-tune your swing, dress for the course, club, or cruise, and get tips on the best places to play and stay at the right price. Vacation or staycation, host Dan Schub, along with his expert co-hosts and guests, will tell you where to go. To play golf and vacation, that is. Now, here's Dan.
Welcome to the Golf and Travel Show. I'm your host, Dan Schub, and like we always do around this time, we're going to talk a bunch of golf and some travel as well. And in a couple of minutes, we're going to be joined by our guest, and that would be Mike Taylor, and he is from J.D. Power. And of course, I'm sure many of you are familiar with J.D. Power because you see them mentioned on all of the automotive ads on TV. But believe it or not, they do a lot of other research for other industries as well to find out who the best are or who aren't the best, I guess. But they got to find that out as well. And they recently came out with a study on airports, and they ranked all the different airports. So what we're going to do is we're going to find out what they found out. I like to talk about the airports and my experiences and fill everybody in. So I think these guys are the professionals, and they'll let us know a little bit about some of our home airports here in Florida, so you can find out how perhaps the airport that you actually fly in and out of most frequently rates. And I just thought it'd be interesting, so hopefully you will think so as well. And of course, usually we start out the show and we talk a little bit of golf, and then we kind of make our way slowly a little bit more into travel. So I got a bunch of things to talk about, and may as well kick it off first with the President's Cup, which is taking place this weekend. And there's been a lot of chatter in the industry about this particular event. Of course, it's match play, U.S. against the international team, kind of modeled on the Ryder Cup, which is the U.S. versus Europe. And it seems for whatever reason that the competitiveness of this event has not been what sports or golf fans truly want to see. The U.S. has, I think the international team has won only once since the event began, and I think the U.S. has won 8 or 9 times. So it really hasn't been extremely competitive. And of course, it's Friday night, so for those of you who are listening when our show reruns on WSBR 6 o'clock on Sunday night, it'll all be pretty much over. But as of now, it looks like it's going to be a blowout yet again, and I can't imagine that the TV ratings are going to be all that great when the event is a blowout. It's just, hey, in any sporting event that you watch, even if, I guess if you're a fan and your home team is winning in a blowout, maybe you'll enjoy watching it. But I think most of us prefer I mean, we want our team to win, but it's fun to see a competitive event, and that's kind of why the PGA Tour is so good these days. It's so competitive. You never know who's going to win from week to week, and that's kind of cool. And it's nice to see 2 or 3 or 5 golfers kind of dueling right to the finish or going into a playoff. When the event is pretty much out of reach on Thursday, I don't know how many people want to watch on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So at least I feel that way. And of course, I'm a golf geek and I watch quite a bit of golf and report on golf. But I'm still, just a viewer, TV viewer, sporting event viewer like the rest of you are. I like to have it competitive. I don't know. But speaking of competitive, there's a guy, I guess this past week or two, maybe a couple of weeks ago, was the first anniversary of the passing of the king, Arnold Palmer. And I saw a story in the news today. I didn't watch the event. I'm not that much of a golf geek. I don't watch Thursday on the web.com tour. But they have their season-ending event up in Atlantic Beach, Florida, up in the northern part of the East Coast. And it seems that Arnie's grandson yesterday shot that magic number, a 59, which is just an incredible score. There's a handful of golfers have shot under 60 in an actual match that is sanctioned. And this guy, Sam Saunders, he's been kicking around for a while. He gets a bunch of exemptions here and there to play on the tour, but he's battling to get his tour card. And he needs to finish in the top 25 in this event on the web.com tour. I think he started out in 24th place, or maybe after Thursday he was in 24th place. I'm not sure. But it seems that that's a very, very good start to, for a guy who, like I say, he's been around a while. He certainly has a great pedigree. And he has the talent to compete on the PGA Tour for sure. So hopefully he will get there, and I'll be happy to see him playing on a regular basis on the tour. But a 59 is just incredible. So congratulations to Sam Saunders for shooting a 59 this week. Also this week, the Hall of Fame, the Golf Hall of Fame inductions took place, and 4 golfers were inducted into the Golf Hall of Fame. Those golfers would be Davis Love III, Meg Mallon, Lorena Ochoa, and Ian Woosnam. So it's quite an accomplishment to make it to the Hall of Fame, and congratulations to all 4 of them, quite deserving. So it was nice to see that. Those are the kind of good news, that it's nice to see. Another thing that has been reported in the news of late in the U.S. is that the number of people that are playing golf over the past several years has been dwindling. And, golf kind of peaked when Tiger Woods was on the scene, and there was all sorts of excitement, and he was young, and young people and people of color, felt more comfortable perhaps playing game. It's always been more of a private club kind of a thing, but Tiger really took it mainstream and let everybody know that, even if you can't afford to be a private club member, if you play at a public course, that you too could make it, and be somebody in golf. But it's been dwindling. And of course, the club manufacturers and all the other folks that sell different kinds of equipment and apparel for golf, of course, they're hurting as well. The golf courses themselves are hurting. But I recently saw a report that was put together, and let's see, I'm trying to figure out who it was that actually put this together. But, I'm not quite sure, but I hope it's correct. Let's see. Oh, here it is. It was commissioned by golfsupport.com. Not quite sure who they are, but they were doing some research into Europe to find out what was going on with the number of golfers that are playing golf in Europe. And a little bit different than it was here in the States. A little surprising. There's actually an increase of 4.5% of golf in England. Yet in Scotland, the home of golf, it went down a little bit more than 3%, the amount of people playing golf. So that was kind of interesting. Also, it seems that there is the largest gender disparity in England, much more so than in the rest of Europe. So I'm assuming that means that more men are playing and less women. However, in Slovakia, they have more registered female golfers than they have male golfers, which, first of all, I didn't know that many people in Slovakia played golf at all. But the fact that I couldn't imagine, if you told me South Korea, that there were more female golfers based upon the success of professional golfers, women golfers from South Korea, that would make sense to me. But Slovakia, I had no